and we'll get on with it. So I'll just share my screen. Now I must remember to do I'm sorry if in the past I've forgotten with the slideshow, but I'm going to make sure I remember doing the slides is much more easier for you to read and looks better on the video as well. So what we're talking about today is what's happening with the BRICS nations and their friends, and there's numerous countries applying to join right now. The Bank of International Settlements, that's the central bank for central bankers, and how all that relates to crypto and this, calling it the everything reset. It's all connected, but in some ways, it's not going to be easy for some people to grasp. And this is our first showing on this, and there's more information to come. So we'll have to watch this space and just follow the information as it evolves. I don't need that. I am going to be doing a presentation on this offline very soon, so I've got that there. Don't need that. Don't need that either, because I imagine you're all quite versed on the blockchain now. So really what this is about is this new Bank of International Settlements and the BRICS and how they're working together. So we have to address open banking and the ISOs again, because this is a key part of this whole, what the Bank of International Settlements are calling it the Finternet. They actually come up with a name, Finternet. In other words, financial internet. And I'll go over what open banking is and how that's connected to ISO, the ISO standard, because it is a key piece, well, especially for us and our crypto. So that was started in London in 2004. It basically means that banks have competition with fintechs. It also means that people are going to have their data shared with other parties. So that is the nefarious part of it. I saw where it said it will be with our consent, but obviously that is a concern, and to me it's only further in showing how we have to be super cautious in this new coming world. The ISO standards and the APIs, which is actually it is a type of API. It's a type of application programming interface as well. So it plugs in. It means it plugs in. It's the great connector. It's the bridge. And across the bridge, it sends money and it sends data. Our data, and the information around the payment, and all that's the main thing, really, just around data, and it's around the money. It is also, I see it as, it is a mechanism for the big boys, predominantly, to transfer their wealth that's locked up in the existing system over to the new blockchain system. This will be one of the bridges, and that's how they will send their their resources, their money, their assets, whatever, ISOs will be a big part of that process. It will also link banks to blockchains and blockchain-based companies, and various data message. It's also a data messaging protocol. Protocol meaning that it's fixed. It's fixed in place. It's not subject to change unless you actually change the code. It also means real-time settlement and global payments. Right now, what we have is we have retail banks, we have commercial banks, and we have what's called settlement banks. And these are all part of the middlemen that play a part. And when we send money overseas, it's going through these different sets of hands. And the settlement banks are the ones that actually send the money to the recipient. That is going to be eliminated in this new internet banking, open banking system. And it's also eliminated by cryptos or fintechs like Ripple and XRP. So we'll have real-time settlement. In other words, we send the money in New Zealand, it arrives in the USA to the recipient immediately. Settlement means they actually get paid. ISO is a potential, it's definitely a SWIFT alternative. Some people say it could be a SWIFT replacement. SWIFT are trying to design their own digitalized system. But I'm not sure whether they're going to still stay relevant. This is one of the reasons why the banks are really fighting hard around crypto, because it's could supersede their SWIFT system. Brings real-time data with your money and investment. So some of the data is going to be very benign and useful for us, especially when we're in blockchain. But there's obviously going to be an area where we've got to be very watchful in other data and how it's sent. Yeah, we still don't know that. And there are, I put here 7 cryptos that we know. There's 5 cryptos that we know officially are aligned with the ISO standard. And then there's another 2 that look like they're very closely aligned. So back to the Bank of International Settlements. This is the central bank for central bankers. They put out this document called the Finternet, the Financial System for the Future. I've printed it out. I've got a copy here. I haven't read it all through yet, word for word. But from what I've already seen from glancing at it, it's got some like incredible things in there. So I've taken a couple of photos of a couple of diagrams in there. But this is explaining how they see the new financial system looking. It's what they call the unified ledger, and it's quite deep and broad. So I'm not going deep into the weeds of that. I'm just showing you how this is all going to be connected to everything else. And then I got this diagram off the 3T Warrior channel, with Coach JV. But this is a very cool diagram that wasn't in the paper that I printed. But this is very interesting how they've created this diagram, and they see what their central bank system is like the trunk of the tree down here, and then out of this ledger is going to come, these are the different sort of applications that are going to be plugged in to this new unified ledger. And that includes, they've got here cash. Interesting, that's cash. I presume that's digital cash. Credit cards. Then they've got open banking there. So that is the link to the ISOs and other areas of open banking. It's not just the ISO standard. There's a whole bunch of other things that are involved in open banking. Then they've got electronic money, smart contracts, autonomous wallets. Interesting, they've got the word autonomous in there. That's kind of words that we like to hear. Tokenized assets. So one of their plans is to tokenize everything. They even want to tokenize air and water and the actual earth itself. So that's like going really extreme. Obviously, I'm not in favor of that, but this is what this is what has been said. Then they've got here tokenized deposits, retail CBDC. So we're starting to see the true things that they are working on. They've got here retail fast payment systems. This is the real-time settlement payment systems, instant payment and all of that, all facilitated by blockchains and that sort of thing, that type of technology. Then they've got here wholesale CBDC. So this is a very important piece because see how it says underneath M, it's got a little M and it says CBDC platform. I just realized I'm not on the slideshow, so you're probably having trouble seeing it. So sorry, sorry about this. It's not happening the way I really wanted it, but I'm just going to flick through back to that. So here we are. So this is the proposed unified ledger, and they've got wholesale CBDC, and then they've got MCBDC platforms. That is a reference to the Enbridge ledger, which the Bank of International Settlements are also setting up, and you'll see why that's really, really important to what I've got to say as I go along. And then they've got correspondent banks. So obviously the banks are plugging into this. So you've got to see these ledgers and this type of thing they're building here. It's like digital Lego. It's like plug in play. It's like, it's like different sockets, like electrical sockets, and they're plugging in different systems. And this is like what blockchain can do. It's very modular in design. It's like what they call it's composability. That means the blockchain is very moldable, and they can build anything on it. They can bend and tweak and do all these things, which is really, really powerful for what they want to do here. It's also very powerful in positive and negative ways, obviously. And then there's another diagram here. This is a photo from the document that I've printed out. It's kind of like double Dutch. I don't understand a lot of it, but there's some things that really stick out to me. They have up here applications. So e-banking is obviously a feature, digital wallets, financial apps, non-financial apps. And then they've got here central bank and commercial banks over here on the left. These are the big players. Asset management companies. They've got private or public companies. This is a public and a private partnership here. The banks and the the governments and the bank, these big three-letter agencies, they can't do it on their own. They need to involve private companies to help them complete this picture. And they've got real estate registrars. So obviously that's part of the tokenization, real estate. And then they've got here token managers, issuance, management, and synchronization. Not really quite sure what that's referring to, but no doubt we'll find out. Shared private ledger. So the private ledgers are the central bank digital currency ledgers. They are the central bank ledgers. And they sort of list that all 3 times down there. On and off ramps. So that's us coming in. And then they've got tokenized equities, that's stocks, and that's stocks. Tokenized deposits, so obviously that's like cash, I guess, digital cash. Tokenized central bank money, tokenized real estate, unified ledger. This is what Catherine Austin Fitz was talking about on the interview she had with RCR, and this is the danger that a lot of people are starting to see, but well, some people, but now we're starting to get the information. And they've got here unified interledger protocol. So interledger protocol is another API system. It's another bridge. And over here they've got attesters, verifiers, lockers, guarantors. I'm not sure what they're referring to, who they are or whatever. Trust and value-added service providers. And then underneath, digital infrastructure, identity, digital signatures, electronic registries, etc. Laws, regulations, rules, and other. Sorry, it's gone off the page. I'm not sure what that. Geez, this is so touchy. Yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Anyway, so I can go on to the next one. Now this is the photocopy of another document I've got called the Bank of International Settlements. This is all about the project mBridge, which is effectively another API-based ledger. So they're using all these blockchain ledgers. That's what a ledger is, also another name for blockchain, but these are basically private. They are centrally created ledgers. And they call it a ledger, but they don't like to use the word blockchain, obviously. And what this can do is it's another link in the chain, and this is all about multi-CBDC platform for cross-border payments. But this is not retail. This is not a CBDC for us. This is a CBDC for banks. It's a wholesale CBDC where banks and big financial companies send bulk payments between themselves and their other big corporates and that. And this is when when you're doing big export, import, when they're sending big forex money and all that, different currencies and bulk to each other. And when they're trading in big amounts, this is what it's for. It's for them, not us. And there's just one picture I took of with the document, which is quite relevant to us, is it says, how does the Project mBridge platform connect to external systems? So external systems is, all, banks and other blockchains and whatever, everything else that's kind of public as well as other private ones. And they say here, interoperability with participants' own systems is supported by APIs based on the global ISO 222 messaging standard for financial information to allow participants to easily connect and integrate into ISO 222 compatible payment systems. So this is where ISO comes in. For commercial banks, cross-border payments and FX, which is Forex, it's multi-currency transactions, are conducted through the interaction between their core banking systems and their mBridge backend. For central banks, CBDC issuance and redemption operations are supported by the integration of mBridge into domestic payment systems, such as RTGS, that stands for real-time gross settlement, and CBDC, through each central bank's mBridge backend. API connectivity to domestic payment systems means that a domestic, in other words, a local currency CBDC system is not a precondition for joining the mBridge platform if adopted by central banks. So yeah, so there's saying quite a bit there, but basically it's based on DLT, which is distributed ledger technology. That's because it's the fastest blockchain. I think it's the fastest, it's the most scalable blockchain is DLT. And I think that's why XRP have used that. So basically, so you've got to hold this thought. This mBridge program, it's wholesale, it's involving countries of, countries moving money, big corporates as well. And then we go to this new currency that I've unearthed that the BRICS are in pilot now. It's already been released in like a beta pilot testing phase. And they're calling it the unit, or just unit for short. And it's a new wholesale BRICS currency. And not just for BRICS member nations, they are looking at bringing this into actually all nations can participate in this and buy this. And particularly the friendly countries to BRICS, I think they are going to be first in line. And I've got a copy of the white paper. I found it online. And it's very, very interesting what this says. It says here, with unit token, you can freely buy, sell, and use apolitical money. That means it's non-political. And how is it non-political? Because it's basically, it's an agnostic, neutral currency that no one can interfere with. Therefore, it's apolitical. And it's for payments through any open payment and clearing system. And I've taken this from the white paper. So what is unit? The unit token is a unit of account of the unit ecosystem, representing a proportional share of the underlying unit basket, which contains, and this is the key point here, 40% gold and local currencies, the BRICS local currencies that are a member of this. Freely exchangeable into gold. Each unit token is a fully fungible currency unit, just like our money today. The intrinsic value of the unit is derived from the current value of the basket of underlying assets measured in gold. The economic value of the unit token is determined by the supply and demand. The supply and demand are determined by its use as a medium of exchange or as a storage of value. The unit ecosystem operation is guided by the unit rulebook. Is unit a stablecoin? How does unit compare with a CBDC? Conceptually, UNIT differs from the CBDCs in four regards. UNIT is decentralized through use of distributed ledger technology. Very interesting. UNIT's value is anchored in 40% gold and BRICS plus, the BRICS plus currencies. UNIT is apolitical by nature and cannot be burdened by government debt or any other liabilities. UNIT is fully fungible. This is how they are seeking to de-dollarize the US dollar. This is how they're going to try and basically, because then these countries are going to be trading in this amongst themselves. This is not a retail currency for people. This is a high-level wholesale currency where these countries could buy their oil. They could buy the oil from Russia. Say India wants to buy oil. They will use their rupee will be part of the backing, and they can use the UNIT token to buy the oil. They get the oil delivered, and they can redeem this for gold at any time. So it's asset-backed, and it's avoiding the US dollar. That's it's not a theory. The de-dollarization and the whole thing about the US dollar is absolutely true. And this is why I believe they're going to war. This is why they've got NATO on Russia's borders, because they're trying to stop this system. And there's more to it than this. This is a big part, but there's more to come. So then they go on to say, so as I'll read up the top here, UNIT is the currency or a new monetary ecosystem to the basic lack of trust stemming from global use of fiat centralized monetary instruments. They've weaponized, in other words, they've weaponized the US dollar. The integrity of the unit is preserved by blockchain-based node synchronization. So I'll go on to say, they say here we raise 1,000 BTC. I'd say they mean we've raised, they have bought 1,000 Bitcoin, which I thought is very interesting as well, for the rollout of their minimum viable product. In other words, to get it up and running so that it's viable, with the following use of proceeds: development of the unit codex, set up a viable. So this is all about this is the beta phase. This is the testing and measuring type phase. So we kind of won't put too much emphasis on that, except they just say here, we offer our early backers pre-unit tokens, each being an equivalent of 1 gram of gold, calculated using the LBMA, which is the London Bullion Markets Association. That's the big head office of all the gold and silver trading, I think. And BTC and Bitcoin exchange rate as of the date of conversion. So, I have to say to all these people who think Bitcoin is going to zero and it's going away, it's not going anywhere. It's clearly being used as a store of value and as a digital type of gold storage. Each pre-unit token will be swapped into regular unit tokens at the ration, so 4 to 5, at the ration 4 to 5 once unit tokens become available. Not quite sure what they mean there. Anyway, they go on to say here, what if the FRS, I think that stands for the Financial Reserve System, in other words, the US dollar, refuses to honor its obligations as it did 3 times during the past century? What if introduction of centralized digital currencies goes awry? does your common sense or formal ESG framework require you to have a reserve parachute? They're taking an absolute shot at the ESG policies, which are failing, and the US dollar here, and the United States of America in general. And, the ESG is a big one for them because they realize that if the West are going on this non-fossil fuel type track, that effectively they are saying to the oil producing countries, we're not going to need your oil too much longer. We're going it alone. We're going to be self-sufficient. We're going to use all this other green energy. And this is part of the war, as well as, a whole bunch of other things. But obviously the BRICS nations do not agree with those kind of policies, and that's a very, very interesting thing, what's happening here. So then they go on to say, unit is the currency of a new monetary ecosystem. Basically what I've written above, proposed as the solution to the basic lack of trust problem stemming from global use of, I'd say, weaponized fiat central money instruments for valuation and settlement of trade and capital flows. The US has now, they're now under significant pressure here. Unit tokens are not subject to any capital controls or price manipulation because it's on a decentralized and it's on a blockchain. The integrity of the unit ecosystem is preserved by blockchain-based node synchronization, and which is what preserves the decentralization, and elimination of the need to rebalance gold holdings between unit nodes, thus minimizing costs and risks. So the other thing is about the gold manipulation. They use these paper contracts, and then they short it. They bet on the price going down because they know that their friend bank is going to sell. So they know it's going down, and then they've got someone else buying it, and they're buying and selling in a merry-go-round amongst themselves, keeps the price really, really low. And they need to do that because that preserves the value of the US dollar. So by the BRICS creating their own currency, backing it with gold and their other member currencies, is a major middle finger to the whole basis of the system which money is based on. So the whole fiat money system is being put to the sword. The current Bretton Woods system is basically over. In fact, we're into what we call, what some have called, this is Bretton Woods 3. It's the third version of Bretton Woods. The first version happened in 1944, exactly 80 years ago, by the way. In 1944, they created the US dollar as the sole reserve currency, and it was backed by gold. Then Bretton Woods 2 was when the US went off the gold standard in 1971, and they created the petrodollar. And then basically the US dollar was backed by oil. And that was all great for the oil producing countries. And that deal was done with Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia got American military protection as well. America patrolled the sea lanes. They gave them the might of the American military as cover if there was anyone trying to, attack that system or attack the shipping lanes and all that. So Bretton Woods 3 is this new system that is about to be unleashed on the world. And it's going digital, and it's part of this Enbridge, and it's part of UNIT, and it's part of decentralized blockchains. Maybe that's not in the central bank's frame. They do not want it. That's why they want to kill crypto. They do not like crypto. They certainly don't like decentralized crypto, but they're going to have to use some of it. They'll obviously have to use the ISO tokens and a few others. but they do not want decentralized crypto. So I see that coming as an offshoot. That'll be a separate system. It's too far advanced for it to be completely killed. But they're obviously going to kill a lot of tokens are going to go. And this is why when they launch this out, I think a lot of all those tiny caps and all those ones that are basically either scams or got no use case, they'll be history. So this is why we've got to look at the top tokens and do not mess around with some of these real low caps. They're like going to the casino, and I agree that they actually need to go. But the development that's happening around decentralization and the blockchain is happening at pace, and that cannot be stopped completely. It's just going to be slowed up, and it's going to be interesting how it's going to play out. So anyway, back to the unit. They mention here numerous sanctions and limitations have already been imposed or declared with massive direct and collateral economic damage. So the US has frozen assets of Iran. They've stole 300 billion of Russia's money out of the banks. And then what they did is to really rub their nose in it. They went and gave it to Ukraine, and they bought a shit ton of artillery. And so they're using the money they stole from Russia to attack Russia. So if that is not like, putting red rag to a bull, I don't know what is. That is significantly important. And all these people who think that Russia are just a bully and they're doing this and they've created war on Ukraine, they do not understand what's really going on. This is a high-level battle going on here. So anyway, so they go on to say, presently BRICS Plus is not ready to launch its own currency. When they say that, I think they mean a retail currency for everyday use. But the need for a reliable, independent, international financial and monetary system is urgent. Unit Ecosystem offers BRICS Plus countries a unique framework which can fully accommodate the inter-block trade and facilitate mutual investments, thus alleviating economic disbalances, hindering further integration. And then they go on to talk about the problem in Africa, West and Central Africa. Unit Ecosystem can effectively replace the post-colonial financial system in Africa, where 14 sovereign nations still use currency pegged to French franc. The French control a lot of Africa. Unfair rules imposed on African peoples directly benefit French treasury while capping trade, economic growth, and prosperity in the region. A new reserve currency is strongly needed. Joining the unit ecosystem via transfer of sovereign reserves to domestic unit hubs authorized by the governments will promote trade and empower local economic development. Also, the IMF have been weaponized a lot in Africa. They give them these loans, then knowing that they're probably never going to pay it back. They can't pay it back, so then they go in there and then they take over their resources. They take over their minerals. They take over the gold. They know it's going to happen. So they're basically holding them over a barrel, and then that is how the West, not just France, but also the IMF and the World Bank have really destroyed a lot of Africa because they are so mineral rich. They've got everything. They've got everything down there that the world really needs. And so the BRICS are going, nah, we're not going to let you carry on doing that. And we're going to bring out this unit system and we're going to chuck you out. So this is really why there's war, because there is a lot at stake here. It's like absolutely massive. So in some other things here, just to go over some of the key things about UNIT. Um, it's globally accessible by banks, countries, etc. That's what it is. It's like a reserve currency for banks and countries under this BRICS arrangement. But the thing is, they're making it open to everybody. Anyone can participate anywhere, and even in the West. So that's like, you know, very. That's like tempting, man, because this is going to be gold backed and a currency backed by their currencies, and they're going to really drain a lot of money. A lot of money flows are going to go into it because it's going to be safe, and it's effectively a using some of the best parts of blockchain to do it. It's globally accessible. Can be freely bought and sold, used as a currency worldwide, enabling seamless cross-border transactions. Decentralized and transparent. Unit ecosystem operates on a decentralized network, ensuring transparency and security for all transactions. Unit offers an apolitical form of money that is not influenced by any political agenda, ensuring stability and neutrality. So if no one is controlling the money, there's nothing to go to war over. So this is what can bring in peace. And this is why I believe also that certain people have said, not naming names, but a certain ex-president in America said, I could stop the war tomorrow if I was in government. And this is how he would do it, because I actually think maybe not so much Trump, but certainly the Trump, the military, the military alliance are aligned with the BRICS nations. This is why America, the Democrats hate Trump, because I think they know he would go that way in a heartbeat. And I think it's already kind of done deal. He's met with all the main BRICS nations immediately when he got in office in 2016 and did the deals with all of them. So it's already all been set up. This is all planned. Anyway, that's just my own view on that. So open payment and clearing system. UNIT can be used as a currency for payments via any open payment and clearing system, providing flexibility and convenience. Then you have another key pillar to this. As if this is not enough, the BRICS have also created their own payment system. I've just taken you through the new BRICS wholesale currency, but they also are developing their own payment system as well. And this is what they call BRICS Pay. The BRICS Pay is a joint venture between the 5 BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, that was launched in 2018 by the BRICS Business Council, among the top priorities in the annual report. The team behind the venture consists of individuals from all 5 countries. This includes experts in payments, banking, technology, and other related fields. They are responsible for developing the platform, creating new features, and providing customer support. Blah, blah, blah. And this is a digital, again, it's on a blockchain, it's digital, it's DLT based. I've seen how it works. They use the phone as they're using QR codes for in-store purchases. So this is a retail payment system for people. I think obviously you'll be able to send it via online as well. You'll be able to do online e-commerce, but it also means it's bringing other cryptos to these countries to use in store as well, which we don't have. We don't have at the moment. So if they're doing it, you can be sure that it's going to be happening here real soon. And another very interesting point about this BRICS payment system, that Ripple and XRP has a deal with every single one of those countries. They have partners in every single one of those countries. And through the ISO standard, it's going to link in with this, and it's going to link in with the mBridge, and that's how the world will be reconnected. The whole world will be reconnected using these blockchain ledgers and these new digital currencies. There is a website. This is the website for BRICS Pay if you want to go check it out. Also, I can give you the website for the unit if you want. For memory, it's unitfoundation.org. You go and check it out yourself. Go and read the white paper. It's not easy reading, but you'll get the gist. So this is a little diagram that I did with my very limited basic skills. It took me ages to do this, but I really wanted to do this so I can show you in graphic form how this is all starting to link together. Because I always saw myself as a dot connector. That's what I am. I know David Icke called himself that, but I also see myself as good at joining dots. I see the big picture, and then I go, oh, okay, well, that connects to that, so that connects to that. And then you can understand the whole picture. So over here, you've got the BRICS Pay, the payment system. It's a multi-currency digital payment system. It's going to involve CBDCs. Russia is creating a CBDC as well. This is going to involve all countries in the world eventually. It's blockchain based. It's going to involve certain crypto, which we don't know what they are beyond ISOs. We don't know what others. And it's going to involve stable coins as well. And it's going to involve the movement of assets, tokenized assets as well. And then that links in with the unit. So this is the wholesale, this is the high level side, and which is gold backed. So that's what the countries will use for their trade. And that'll be gold backed. That's going to do incredible things to the price of gold. You know, you can see now, this is why countries around the world, all the BRICS nations have been hoarding gold for years. This is why they're getting ready for the launch of this currency. And then that links in, the unit is working with mBridge and the Bank of International Settlements. So, and Russia is a part of the mBridge. So even though they're warring at each other, they're also sitting around a table somewhere nutting out how this all fits together. It is a multi-CBDC, a multi-wholesale CBDC and retail CBDC payment connector. But the wholesale will come first. The retail CBDCs will come later. We look at some countries or some people have been saying not until at least 2030. And I believe they're going to be using stable coins before the CBDC to try and make it more palatable for people. But they definitely want to use CBDC on us. And but stable coins can also be programmed to basically do much of the same. So we're going to have to be really, really watchful. And then ISO 200 connects into mBridge as well. And that's the connection that then I could put another square that connects to our banks, other fintechs, and our crypto. Not sure, like I said, I don't know what other crypto, other than I know XRP is very heavily involved. I know XLM is heavily involved. XDC as well is heavily involved. I've seen all the papers on that. as well as Quant. Quant have also created their own API system. And IOTA, that's the Internet of Things. That's what they are doing. And Algorand, which is a layer one. It's like an Ethereum-based layer one that brings smart contract to it. So they've got all the functions they need between them all to create their own ecosystem. And this is all connected to open banking. This is all how the open banking is. Everything will link into each other. Like I say, it's like digital Lego. They're just plugging in, it's modular. And with the APIs, they can do anything. They can link anything to anything. And it's all DLT blockchain based. The whole lot of it is all DLT blockchain based right through. I also know that over here with the ISOs, it's linking into Ethereum as well. It's plugging into the Ethereum ledger, and it's plugging into Bitcoin as well. That's how I understand it. That's what I believe. But do your own research. But I see Bitcoin is going to be a big part of this. Ethereum is going to be a big part of it because the tokenizing, a lot of the tokenizing will happen on Ethereum with the smart contracts. And Chainlink is very involved in this because they've built a lot of the technology to enable this to happen. So Chainlink is in there. And, you know, beyond that, I'm not too sure what else is heavily involved. But I know that those ones are all the ISOs, Chainlink, Bitcoin, Ethereum. So I think those tokens are going to go on to be behemoths, and in the future they will be the new Amazons of the future. So war, what is it good for? Well, absolutely nothing for us unless you need to reset the financial system. They need the central banks need war in order to annihilate the existing system. That's what they're vying. That's why they keep goading Russia. That's why they've just sent another missile to some beach or something, killed a couple of children and quite a few other people, 20-odd people, I think, got killed and many got injured. They're just trying to goad Russia, and they desperately want Russia to retaliate. So what happens here, who knows? But hopefully I think it's all going to be worked out. I think that we're going to be brought to the brink, and then if the cabal get their way and there's a nuclear war, well, they're going to raise everything to the ground, and we might as well just start saying our prayers now. But I really believe that's not going to happen. Maybe I'm just being a total eternal optimist there, but I don't see the world going up in flames. That's not the world that I see. War will give them unprecedented powers to with money, enormous sums of money. They can print money almost for Africa, which they will, and then under the cover of war, they will pay all themselves off. They will definitely destroy the system then, and it will, all under the guise of keeping us safe from the enemy and all of this. The Chinese are playing a big part in this as well. This is why there's conflicts around Taiwan, because China and Taiwan battle over that, and the microprocessors and the computer chips of today. That's where the Taiwan, that's the home of the best computer chips. So basically, all wars are banker and money-orientated wars. Same with World War II. Same with World War I. Same with all the wars. The Cold War, the Vietnam, Korean. All of the wars are all over money, territory, minerals, resources. So the BRICS Plus is creating a huge split in the global system, and this is at the very top. So what happens at the top will more than trickle down. It will waterfall down to us. This is why we've been under so much chaos for so long. This is why COVID was a forerunner to distract us from what's really going on all this. COVID was like a prep warm-up to get us thinking just about our own little selves or being divided and conquered, so we don't see what's really going on at the top. And this is why we have to look at what's happening here in the bigger picture, so then we can position ourselves accordingly. This is bringing a paradigm shift to the world. As this paradigm changes, because the system itself is imploding from within. It's not a minor thing what's happening on the world. It's massive. It involves everything and everyone. We're tied to the US dollar like the tentacles of an octopus is tied to its body. Every other Western country is tied to that US dollar. Whatever happens when the US dollar, I don't believe it will go to zero, because they're going to reposition themselves. Eventually, there's going to have to be a gold-backed Western currency, but it will have to share the global. It's a multipolar world. That's what they mean by multipolar. They mean multi-currency, and it will all be digital. And the US dollar, I think, will be restored to some semblance of order, but it's going to look very different. All the debt, what's going to happen to all the debt, the trillions of debt, what's going to happen to their bond market? That's what underpins the system, the debt. All our fiat currencies. And then you've got the stock market. You've got all the elderly people who've got their pensions. Everything is at stake here. Everything. And it's going to affect the social way we do life in immeasurable ways that I don't even know what is going to happen, but it's going to be big. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing gold backing the unit. Means money will flow from the west to the east. Clearly, money is going to, and no one's going to want to tolerate debt. No one's going to want to tolerate a fiat currency backed by nothing. It also means the cash is terminal, absolutely terminal in this scenario. It's not going to survive. The unit and BRICS are competition to the IMF, World Bank, and all the central banks, actually. So I think the BIS has realized that if they didn't join in with Russia at this monetary system, then they will be completely cut out, because the BRICS then will just fill the void and become the dominant global player. So the BRICS have had their hand forced, the BIS and the Western money men have had their hand forced. They have to join in. They have to link the ledgers, otherwise they will be toast. So they're doing that, hedging their bets, but knowing also they're probably going to lose. So, this is how we're going to have a global system, but globalization as we knew it it's already dead. And then American military, they're going to lose a lot of their power because they're not going to be funded like they were. And the BRICS nations are positioned strategically so that they can control the sea lanes and the global trade. So the global trade is not going to be policed by America anymore. It's going to be policed by the BRICS. And by making all the oil nation countries are in the BRICS. And China is working on the Belt and Road Initiative, which is going to be hundreds of trillions of dollars of development. How much oil are they going to need for that? There is going to be a lot of oil pumped for a long time yet. And that Belt and Road is going to be a major development hub that will profit all these BRICS nations and more for decades and decades to come. So I think that's part of the China-Russia master plan. They are going to create this huge rail, sea, and road links, and it will be powered by these countries. And not only are they creating new payment systems and new currencies that are backed by gold, they're also creating new banks. There's a bank called the New Development Bank, and then you've got this new Shanghai, I forget, the Shanghai Corporation. It's like a massive bank, and a military as well comes with it. And they're going to store the gold, and they're going to handle the gold, and they're going to be a bank for all these nations to go to instead of the IMF and the World Bank and the Fed. They're now basically going to lose, I reckon, at least 50% of their business. So that is like reordering the world in huge ways. So the US de-dollarization is really a thing. I can't understate that enough, but it's not to zero, like I say, because the US are going to have to come to the party. What's going to happen to all the debt, I have no idea. But I actually am very skeptical of the Jassara argument, I have to say. I have to come out and say it. Sorry to all those people that believe and accept in it, but I think Nasara is not happening. Not in the maybe in 5 or 10 years, but not in the immediate scenario. I don't see that happening. We're moving from a unipolar to a multipolar world. It is a massively huge deal. The West will be forced to follow suit with asset-backed currencies. That is a huge deal. And so maybe that's where there is a Nasara-esque like effect, because maybe that's part of the debt wiping. It comes that, but if the central banks get their way, they will not allow forgive our debt without something in return. And that would be, I believe, a CBDC. Unless we're out of debt and we've got crypto and we've got other assets in this new system, whether you love it or hate it, I think holding a crypto that is associated with this new system is one of the ways that we actually get protection. If we don't, we'll just be another consumer, and they will waltz on and go, thanks very much for not coming. We don't want your money anyway, and that just gives them more power. If we can buy some of these crypto that are connected into this new system, then we've got a bit of a seat at the table, and we'll still be relatively good, I believe. That's just my opinion again. So the changes at the top will filter down to us. As I say, they won't just filter down. They will come down like a waterfall when they flip the switch on this. And these changes necessitate open banking in order to connect with crypto, and decentralized finance will also, I believe, it will be an offshoot. It won't certainly be in the center, but they're going to have to allow decentralization. But what they're going to try and do is try and wrap their gatekeepers around it. So for us, we could operate in a decentralized world, but are we going to be like in a moat where this whole central system is around us? Possibly, but I don't believe that will happen, because I know a lot of countries are very pro decentralized, full decentralized, and we've got decentralized banks coming. We've got decentralized exits and entry points. And so we'll be able to have our own little hub. We'll have our own little hubs around the world where we can operate in decentralized world. But we will need to possibly dip in and out and interact with this global unified ledger as well at some stages. It's hard to say right now what's going to happen. I don't have a crystal ball on that because so many things are at play. But I am very, very positive that there are going to be decentralized pockets all over the world that we will still be able to. We've got decentralized identification coming, and we've got decentralized monies. So we're just going to have to. This is why participation creates the protection that we need. If people don't participate, then that just gives the free pass and free ride to the central controllers that do whatever they want. So anyway, this is where we're seeing the bifurcation of the global system. I believe we will have options other than CBDC with crypto, but what we've got to be careful of is which crypto and what are they, who will survive and who won't. And that's important that we're plugged into the right ones. Decentralized finance is growing massively, particularly with the rich people who are not part of the club. There are a lot of very wealthy investors, hedge fund owners, private hedge funds. There's a lot of money in the world that is held by people that are not evil. They're not evil people. And they're not connected to the cabal only in that, well, they made a lot of money, but I know a lot of them do not like central bank control and central bank digital currency. So that's why I see decentralized, not just finance, but decentralized world becoming very popular and prominent. It's too big to stop. The central banks want obviously a centralized, unified CBDC ledger system. That's clearly one of their plans. Decentralized finance could create an alternative system, or definitely create an alternative system, but it could create an alternative reality for us as well, as like a breakaway society in a way. The technology is leading, not people. That's a key thing to know. And they would need global consensus to make a one world system possible. That is not going to happen. I know that for a fact. There are so many countries that don't agree with what the central planners are doing, and they're going their own way. And remember, crypto is global in nature. So it can be domiciled and created in any country, and it can operate in every country. And you're seeing that battle being fought now in the stablecoin arena with USDT Tether. It is trying to be ousted out of Europe and America. And they basically said, well, if we're aligning ourselves with BRICS nations anyway. And we're bringing out our gold backed and our tokenized gold thing, and we're going to go asset backed with gold and stuff like that. So I think Tether, I really need to be watching what the USDT, it's a digital US dollar, but it's not based in America. And they're trying to kill it. But I think as it's already worth $110 billion, I think it's too big to stop. So I believe we want stable coins like Tether to survive. So really, that's the end of the presentation. I know I've probably gone a while, but it's hopefully you see that was worth watching, staying for. Sorry about all the mucking around at the beginning. It was a bit of a mistake on my part, but yeah, anyway.